Hey guys, Tekosor here. So ever since I got my Galaxy S24 ULTRA, I've been quite gaming on it. Titles like Genshin Impact, Call of Duty and some PUBG. While I'm not a huge phone gamer, but the S24 ULTRA with its high-end specs got me into gaming on the go. Long story short, last week I made a video extensively comparing both the S23 ULTRA and the S24 ULTRA by doing lots of benchmarks and stress tests, and despite Samsung upgrading the cooling system by increasing the vapor chamber size by 92% over the S23 ULTRA, the phone still overheats quite much and has worse performance stability comparing to its predecessor the S23 ULTRA, due to how the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 peak performance can get. So to tackle this issue, I got some interesting third-party cooling solutions that hopefully will improve performance stability while also reducing temperatures. So we have here the Cryo Armor cover by Spigen, which claims to improve airflow to the back of the phone and has a graphite sheet that will help cooling get down. Then we have the 3 Pro Cooler by Black Shark, which is their yet highest performant one. And finally we got the TRILINK Cooler that comes with an included rechargeable battery pack to save us from having to deal with cables and having to find an external power source. So as you can see, each one is uniquely different, and in this video we'll go through everything about them from unboxing to performance to temperature and power consumption comparison. So let's get started first with unboxing the Spigen Cryo Armor. I quite like the material and it also feels pretty premium, offering heavy-duty protection as well. On the back side you will find the graphite sheet, but first make sure to remove the protective film. As for buttons, they are pretty accessible and feel great. All cutouts for the S Pen, speaker and inputs are precisely cut. Additionally, it has a good grip thanks to this pattern here on the side. And you will notice that on all corners there is this bumper that reduces falling shocks, much like Spigen's original armor cover. So as you can see, it checks all boxes anyone would want in a cover, but more importantly, let's hope it can live up to its claims as a real gaming one as well. On to the second one we got the TRILINK Cooler. Here on the back, it says the external battery is 2100 mAh. And here we'll find inside a USB cable which is Type-C that goes to the cooler and Type-A that goes to the power source. In the manual, here it explains some info about what they define as the wireless mode, which is the way of using the cooler through its own battery pack, and the lightweight mode is when you disconnect the battery and use the cable instead. Here it also says that you can charge the battery pack exclusively when you connect it to the cooler, so you can't charge the battery independently. And at a full charge, it can last for a minimum of 2 hours and up to 3 hours. To install the battery, you will find there is a hole on top and another one at the bottom. The power pins should make contact here. All you have to do is attaching it to those holes and just slide it down to lock it in. As easy as that. Now the phone attachment clamp goes only from the top side. On the manual, it mentioned supporting up to 7 inches devices, so the S24 ULTRA being a 6.8 inches is totally fine. Just ensure it's not touching the lock and locking button and the camera lens. I also found that you can use it as a portrait stand with the battery connected. Now to power it up, unfortunately those coolers cannot be powered by the phone itself due to the higher potency required. Usually phone ports can't deliver power to that kind of peripherals, so the only way will be by using a power bank or some power external source. Something worth mentioning, you can charge the battery of the cooler while still using the cooler itself, as in power delivery mode. Another thing I noticed that when you power it through the cable, the fan spins a bit faster. Therefore, the cooling capability may potentially raise a tiny bit more than when you power it through its battery pack, but we shall see how that affects performance in benchmarks. And now here you can hear the fan noise difference between the two of them. To make sure it's actually charging, when you connect it to power with the battery attached, you will see this red flash indicator fixed, which means it's charging. Once it's off, it means it has finished. When you remove the battery, the indicator will blink in red just like this. However, something I would have wished for is the ability to turn off the RGB lights in order to save up some battery juice. As you can see on this cooler, there is only a power button. And also this cooler doesn't have any app integration, so there is not much control here. So with the TRILINK covered, let's get over to the Black Shark 3 Pro. Inside here you will find the cooler itself and a USB cable, with the Type-C for the cooler and the Type-A for the power input. Unfortunately though, this one doesn't come with a power pack, which is a huge drawback for me personally, given that carrying around a cable and a power bank is quite a hassle I would avoid at any cost. But I must say that this cooler looks really beautiful and well made. And will you look at how chunky it is. Also, it greatly matches the S24 Ultra violet color variant. They look as if they are made for one another. It's straightforward to install, just attach the top side and the bottom one goes along. While also making sure here it's not touching the lock and lock button and the camera lens. Just like the TRILINK one, also the 3 Pro can't be powered up by the phone itself. But a great feature about this one is that you are able to control lots of functions by using the Black Shark's app, which is called Shark Arsenal. It can automatically detect it when you press add. Here you can control various things such as speed that can go from slow to fast by using this slider here. Here is some noise test. It's a bit louder than the TRILINK on maximum speed, but there is also a smart mode that automatically adjusts speed based on temperature. In addition, here you can change the lighting colors and effect. And even there is a possibility to turn it off altogether if you prefer. So overall, it's a feature-rich cooler with lots to offer. Now here is a comparison between the TRILINK and the Black Shark 3 Pro in size. You can see how the Black Shark 3 Pro radiator is way more dense. Now with the battery mounted on the TRILINK cooler, it's a tad higher. When it comes to weight, the TRILINK cooler with the battery weighs about 115 grams. Without the battery, it's 63 grams. Instead, the Black Shark 3 Pro is 114 grams. So it's about the same weight as the TRILINK with the battery. Now here we can compare the power consumption. The TRILINK with battery takes about 7.5 watt while charging the battery. Instead, without the battery, it takes about 6.5 watt. While the Black Shark 3 Pro on the lowest speed with RGB off, it takes about 4 watt. With the RGB on, it's about 4.3 watt. But if we max out the speed, it jumps to 17 watt. Now again with RGB off, around 16.3 watt. After running both for 5 minutes, checking the cold plate temp, the TRILINK connected through cable gets to about -2 degrees Celsius and could get as high as 7 degrees Celsius on battery mode. So what I assume seems to have been true, the battery mode is a bit inferior to the cable mode in terms of power delivery, but we shall see how that actually affects the performance in the benchmarks coming up. Now as for the Black Shark 3 Pro on max speed, it's like a freezer. As you can see, there are even some traces of ice, and checking temp, it's -28 degrees Celsius. Now another thing I want to try out is by combining both the TRILINK in battery mode along with the Spigen Cryo Armor cover. This way, we'll have an extreme portable cooling setup for the S24 ULTRA, a cover for protection giving good airflow, plus a portable cooler without having to deal with any cable. I'm interested to check the performance of both of them together, and we're about to see all benchmarks in a bit. Now the phone along with the cover plus the cooler with battery weighs about 400 grams. Now also the Black Shark 3 Pro can be mounted along with the Cryo Armor, but the only issue remaining is having to deal with the cable and find a powering source for it. And now the time for benchmarks and performance test has come. We'll get started first with the 3D Mark Wildlife 20 loop stress test. Let's go for it. And here we are. The default one, which has no cooler or cover installed, has best loop score of 13,973, while for the lowest loop it's 6,846. With the Cryo Armor, best loop score has increased to 14,158, and for the lowest loop, 7,578. The Cryo Armor case is good enough to enhance stability by about 5%. And in my opinion, that's actually a good start. Now getting to the Black Shark 3 Pro, this time the best loop score has jumped to 14,741 and the lowest one to 10,268, further enhancing stability to 69%. That's a 20% enhancement to stress stability. Now moving on to the TRILINK Cooler, with it connected to power through a cable, the best loop score is 14,161. Quite similar to when we had the Cryo Armor, but the lowest loop score this time is 9,995. A huge improvement for the stability here too, as it's 70%. But then, if we use the TRILINK in battery mode, we get 14,048 for the best loop and the lowest loop 9,663, giving us still an impressive stability improvement of about 19%. So it seems that the reduction performance difference is about 2% when we used it in battery mode. Finally, if we combine both Cryo Armor and the TRILINK in battery mode, we got a pretty impressive uplift in stability of about 5% from when we used just the TRILINK Cooler, giving us the lowest loop score of 10,255. Looking at the loop's performance graph, you will see how with coolers the graph is quite more consistent. Even the Spigen Cryo Armor case gave us some good results. In 3D Mark reported metrics, we see the temp went up to 44 degrees on default, 43 degrees with Cryo Armor, 29 degrees with Black Shark 3 Pro, 30 degrees with TRILINK utilizing a cable, 31 degrees with TRILINK in battery mode, and finally with Cryo Armor plus TRILINK battery mode, it got up to 36 degrees Celsius. But that's totally normal, as we'll see something interesting by looking at the captured thermal images. We see on default setup the hot point area where the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is located to be 50.7 degrees and with a midpoint of 43.3 degrees, while with the Cryo Armor it drops by 3 degrees reaching up to 47.3 with a midpoint of 40.3. Instead of the Black Shark 3 Pro, it gets to 48.5 degrees with a midpoint of 23.9, which shows the true strength of the cooler in reducing the temps mostly around the battery area. As for TRILINK connected to cable, it's 48 degrees for the high point and 33.8 degrees for the mid one. Now with the battery in use, it gets up to 49.5 degrees for the high point and 33.1 for the mid point. And now here we will see some real wonders. With the Cryo Armor plus TRILINK setup, the hot point gets to 44.3 degrees, that's lower 6 degrees from the default, along with a reduction of 10 degrees for the midpoint, which makes it a magical difference. Now in addition to 3D Mark, I also wanted to try out some real-world gaming scenario, so I'll go ahead and do some Genshin Impact gameplay for 30 minutes on each of them. But first, I want to show you the settings I have. To make sure I have the highest performance with consistently maximum FPS, I have the alternate game management mode on that is found in the game booster settings. Instead, in game plugins app, I have the Genshin Impact settings on max along with frame booster on. As for screen resolution, it's set as the maximum QHD plus 1440p. In-game settings, I have everything set on maximum along with 60 FPS mode. So let's get to it now. Right before finishing the test, comparing the temps found on the overlay with the default, it got up to 45 degrees along with the Cryo Armor setup. But with the Black Shark 3 Pro, it's a different story. It maxed out at 39 degrees. As for the TRILINK in cable mode, it's 41 degrees. And with the included battery pack powering it gets higher by 1 degree, making it 42. And finally, with the Cryo Armor plus TRILINK battery setup, it's also 42, but that's fine because again, looking at the thermal images, we see that the default has 47.6 for the high point where the chip is located, and 41.5 for the midpoint where the battery is located. As for the Cryo Armor, it's 48.7 for the high point and 43.1 for the mid one. Interestingly, this time with the cover, it increased over the default one. Now with the Black Shark 3 Pro, the max is 43.5 and the midpoint 24 degrees Celsius. Instead, for a TRILINK with cable connected, this time it's 44.3 for the high point along with 30.5 degrees for the midpoint. Also with battery, it's 44.3 for the high point along with ever so higher midpoint at 31 degrees. Now last but not the least, with both Cryo Armor plus TRILINK in battery mode, temps are the lowest we got so far. 42.1 degrees for the high point along with 32.8 for the midpoint. So overall, when it comes to cooling the S24 Ultra, there are definitely many solutions out there. To give my personal experience with the ones I got here, I think with the Spigen Cryo Armor alone, there is already a good improvement, given it's a good protective case along with cooling additions. So it's a win-win situation. But we further enhance the result by combining it along with the TRILINK Cooler in battery mode, making it a portable cooling setup thanks to its own battery pack. It made the whole experience more versatile, easy, and cable-free. So for anyone serious about phone gaming, this setup significantly improved performance with a better stability as well. But my heart goes to the Black Shark 3 Pro. It has really powerful cooling capabilities, giving us high and sustained performance. It looks nice, built well, and controllable through a dedicated app. There is so much to love about it, if only it wasn't powered exclusively through a cable. If the Black Shark team is watching this video, I kindly request that you guys make a cooler of such high quality that comes also with a built-in rechargeable battery. Many of us, including me, will definitely get it. So that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. I'm quite interested to know which cooling solution caught your attention, so feel free to leave all your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. And as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to take us all to be updated on future content. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.